The road to redemption. Sarah Martinez sat in her car at the gas station, her hands trembling as she gripped the steering wheel. The summer heat pressed against the windows, but the chill in her heart ran deeper than any weather could touch. 3 months pregnant and alone, she stared at the text message that had shattered her world just hours before. "I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry. Don't try to find me." Her husband of 2 years, Michael, had vanished without a trace. Their apartment was half empty when she returned from her doctor's appointment, confirming what she had suspected for weeks. The baby was healthy, growing strong, but the father had already made his choice. Sarah pressed her palm against her still small belly and whispered, "It's just you and me now, little one." The gas pump clicked off, breaking her from her thoughts. She needed to get moving. The plan was simple: drive to her sister's house in Phoenix, start over, figure out how to raise a child alone. The highway stretched endlessly ahead, a ribbon of asphalt leading toward an uncertain future. As she pulled back onto the interstate, Sarah noticed the storm clouds gathering in the distance. The weather report had mentioned possible thunderstorms, but she hoped to outrun them. The last thing she needed was to be stranded in the middle of nowhere. 20 miles down the road, fat raindrops began pelting her windshield. The storm hit, suddenly and fierce, turning the highway into a river of rushing water. Sarah slowed to a crawl, her wipers working frantically against the downpour. That's when she saw him. A man sat slumped against the guardrail, his dark suit soaked through, his white shirt stained with what looked like blood. His head was tilted back, rain streaming down his face. Even from her car, Sarah could see he was hurt. Every instinct told her to keep driving. A pregnant woman alone should not stop for strange men on deserted highways. But something about his posture, the way he seemed to have given up, reminded her of how she felt just hours ago. Sarah pulled over and rolled down her window. "Are you okay?" she called out. The man lifted his head slowly. He appeared to be in his 30s, with dark hair and tired eyes that held a weight she recognized. "My car broke down," he said, his voice barely audible over the rain. "I think I might have a concussion. Been sitting here for hours." "Do you need a hospital?" He shook his head weakly. "Just somewhere dry, please." Against her better judgment, Sarah unlocked her doors. The man struggled to his feet and limped toward her car, favoring his right leg. As he settled into the passenger seat, she noticed the cut on his forehead and the bruising around his knuckles. "Thank you," he said quietly. "I'm David." "Sarah." She handed him some tissues from her glove compartment. "What happened to you?" David was silent for a long moment, pressing the tissues to his forehead. "Car accident," he finally said. "Hit a deer about 5 miles back. Car's totaled." Something in his tone made Sarah glance at him more carefully. His story felt incomplete, but she had her own secrets to keep. They drove in comfortable silence as the storm raged around them, 2 wounded souls sharing the same space. "Where are you headed?" David asked eventually. "Phoenix. My sister lives there." "Running away from something?" Sarah's hands tightened on the wheel. "Starting over." David nodded as if he understood. "Me too." They stopped at a small diner when the storm became too dangerous to drive through. The place was nearly empty, just a tired waitress and a cook, who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Sarah and David sat across from each other in a worn booth, steam rising from their coffee cups. "You don't have to tell me," Sarah said quietly, "but you don't look like someone who was in a car accident." David's laugh was bitter. "What do I look like? Like someone who's been fighting? Or maybe someone who's been fighting with himself?" He studied her face in the dim light. "You're perceptive. I'm a teacher, was a teacher. It comes with the territory. Was." Sarah touched her stomach unconsciously. "Things change." David followed her gesture, and understanding flickered in his eyes. "The father? Gone. The word came out sharper than she intended. "I'm sorry." "What about you? What are you really running from?" David stared into his coffee for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. "I was supposed to get married today." Sarah blinked. "Today?" 3 hours ago, actually. St. Mary's Cathedral in Dallas. 200 guests, flowers, the whole thing. He ran his hand through his damp hair. "I couldn't do it. I realized I was marrying her because it was expected, not because I loved her. So I ran. Hence the suit. David looked up at her. "I got in my car and just drove. Didn't know where I was going until I ended up in that ditch. Maybe it was the universe's way of telling me to stop running." Sarah felt a strange kinship with this broken man across from her. "We're quite a pair, aren't we? The runaway bride and the abandoned wife." "Runaway groom," David corrected with a small smile. "And you weren't abandoned. You were set free." Is that what you tell yourself? It's what I'm trying to believe. They talked until the storm passed and the sun broke through the clouds. Sarah learned that David was a lawyer who had spent years building a life that looked perfect from the outside but felt empty within. He discovered that Sarah had been teaching 3rd grade until her husband decided he wasn't ready for the responsibility of fatherhood. "Can I ask you something?" David said as they prepared to leave. "What are you going to tell your child about their father?" Sarah considered this. "The truth, I suppose, that sometimes people make choices based on fear instead of love. But that doesn't mean they're bad people. That's generous of you. It's all I can do. Carrying anger won't help anyone, especially not this baby." As they walked back to Sarah's car, David suddenly stopped. "Sarah, I need to tell you something. I lied. About the car accident." She turned to face him, but there was no surprise in her eyes. "I know. You know? Your knuckles are bruised, but your face isn't. Someone was trying to stop you from leaving, weren't they?" David nodded slowly. "Her brother. He thought I was making the biggest mistake of my life." "Were you?" "No," David said with certainty. The biggest mistake would have been going through with it. They reached Phoenix as the sun was setting, painting the desert sky in shades of orange and pink. Sarah pulled up to her sister's house, a modest ranch-style home, with a garden full of cacti and desert flowers. "This is it," she said. David made no move to get out of the car. "Sarah, I know this might sound crazy, but would you mind if I stayed in town for a while? I could help you get settled, maybe help with the baby when it comes. I promise I'm not trying to take advantage of your situation. I feel like maybe we found each other for a reason." Sarah studied his face in the fading light. She saw sincerity there, and something else. Hope. "David, I can't promise you anything beyond friendship. I'm not ready for anything more, and I may never be. I'm not asking for more than friendship. I'm asking for a chance to build something real, something honest. Maybe we can help each other figure out what comes next." Sarah's sister appeared at the front door, waving. The porch light cast a warm glow that felt like welcome. "Okay," Sarah said quietly. "But we take it slow. One day at a time." David smiled, the first genuine smile she had seen from him. One day at a time. As they walked toward the house together, Sarah felt something she hadn't experienced in months. Hope. Sometimes the road to redemption began with a simple act of kindness to a stranger. Sometimes healing happened when 2 broken people decided to be honest about their scars. The future was still uncertain, but for the first time since reading that text message, Sarah felt like she wasn't facing it alone.